Hello everyone, thanks for being here. Apologize for the late notification again. I tried scheduling it last night so that I could actually give you guys a little bit of heads up this time, but I'm not really sure if it did or not. So but yeah, thanks everyone for being here. We're not going to really waste any time. But we are going to, or I'm going to be going over as the title says, the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012. If you guys have been following me for a while, or even just recently, you will have heard me mention, even in other chats, many times about this Smith-Mundt Modernization Act. Hey Shadow Dancer. Hey Flathead Politics, thanks for being here. Hello Elena. Everyone else who is here that I already said hello to. Hey Placidus. And the reason why I mentioned this Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012 so often is because it has everything to do with the Watts case, and it's going to hopefully show you guys and prove to you that or I don't want to say prove is a pretty strong word, support my theory as to why this case is orchestrated, why they can they were able and still able to get away with so many things in this case. And I will go into more detail about that after I play a couple of videos that I have that I want to play for you guys that pretty much explains the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act much better than I could. So I figured I would just play a couple of videos. And also that, or not only that, but some other references besides just, one video, as I like to get more than one reference. I may read a couple articles, short articles as well, but I think the videos, are enough in themselves. So, hey Welsh Pam. Hey True Crime Analyst. And I did try to do this a lot earlier than I usually do, which is like 9 o'clock at night. So, at my time. So hopefully we'll get a few more people in here. I'll give it, a couple more minutes for some stragglers, and we'll get started. And hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I will try not to turn away from my microphone so often. I also put the chat on the screen. One, it's easier for me, so I don't have to keep looking at my phone or at YouTube Studio. But for whatever reason, I know it's not just me, but for some reason, my chat replays, the live chat, it doesn't get posted until many hours after the live stream, and I know that a couple of you have said, hey, where's the live chat? So it's not me, it's YouTube. Hey Capri. Hey Hard Eyes. And I don't usually get any trolls, which is nice, or anybody causing any commotion that much, but I trust you moderators to use your discretion on who to block and not block. You know how I feel about censoring people, but if they're clearly like the last one that came in and was trying to order vegetables or something, I'm not really sure what they were doing, but they were obviously not here for true crime or just to be annoying. So if they're coming in here and ordering vegetables or fruit, they're in the wrong place, and they're allowed to be blocked. But again, you guys know how I feel about censorship. If they have a different opinion that just happens to go against mine, I don't want anybody blocked for that. That's not what I'm about, but you guys know that. So I just wanted to say that because I know that I never really made it, I guess, clarified for you guys on who to and to not block. So hey McQueen. I did download these videos prior to going live, so hopefully there won't be too many glitches. There were a couple while I was downloading them, unfortunately. I did want to play the ODD TV and a different one for you guys, which they're both kind of long, but they kept buffering. So hey Kels. But I did put them, the videos that I'm going to play in this live stream, I put all the links as well as the ODD TV and the other video that I wanted to show you guys in the description already. I did that prior because I'm bad about posting it afterwards. So if you do want to go and view these videos again, or the channel creators, to give them credit, the links are in the description. I'm not 5'2", I'm 5'4"-ish. Thank you very much, Mark. I don't know where you got 5'2" from. Alright, that being said, let's go ahead and get started. I don't want to waste any more time. Okay, so this first video I'm going to play is pretty much the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act in a nutshell. Hey Swamp Lover, it's okay. Appreciate it. Well, someone in chat I'm sure will know. Sorry, I'm just going to start that over. I was going to try to make this smooth, as smooth as possible, but it's probably not going to be. Let's be realistic. But I just want to start that over because I know I was going in and out there. So let's try this again. Okay, so you would think that I made that video myself. It says "think for yourself" at the end, but I did not. I cannot take credit for that video. The video description is in, or the video link is in the description. I'm sorry. Should we just get my should we get my height confirmation out of the way real quick so you guys can pay attention, students? I'm just kidding. I'm 5'4" ish. Okay. Swamp lover, probably like around 5'6" ish. I'm thinking. Mark, probably a little bit taller. Probably 5'8". That's pushing it. Okay. So quick, straight to the point. Before 2012, there was the Modernization Act of 1948, where it made it illegal to push propaganda on to the U.S. government and the mainstream media, to push propaganda and fake news onto its own, U.S. citizens. It was only legal to do it overseas, where they could, sway the opinions of foreigners, right? Or foreign land, however you want to say it. That's why I played the video, because I'm terrible at this. Hey, Sue. My volume is low. Okay, let me try something real quick. Let me know if this helps. I will turn it up. Okay, let me know if that helps. I turned up the percentage on my microphone. I don't know if it'll work. I will try to speak louder into it as well. Hey, MJ. It might be more staticky, so the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012 actually repealed that and allowed the U.S. government, the mainstream media, to legally push propaganda and lie to U.S. citizens. Whether that be a local story, and I've said this before, a local story about a cat, a woman's cat that was abducted by aliens in a small town or something, right? Or something as big as 9/11. Now, they've been doing it for years, many, many years, but they've just been doing it illegally. Now they can legally do it. So I'm going to play the next video now. You like how I give you guys step by step of what I'm doing? Now I'm turning on the video. Now it's playing. Oh, and Mark, please don't encourage Swamp Lover. He gets enough of that from Kelsey Kish and others on D Live. He doesn't need any more encouragement. Hey, Dank. Okay, here we go.
This is Diana Lenska. Let there be light. This is going to be a brief video today. We're going to be discussing the Smith-Mundt Repeal Act. President Obama repealed this in 2012. This act allowed the American government to use propaganda on its own American citizens. This allows the government to go to the corporate entities that control all major media, including newspapers as well as magazines, to create any scenario, even an outright and total lie, without any liability, any responsibility, and not being able to be traced back to the government, that they are responsible for the false media being placed out there. Propaganda. Lies, deceptions, and propaganda are being used on the American people every day in the major media in regards to the current worldwide situation. And we all know what that is without my coming out directly and saying it. Nothing what you are being told is the truth. You are being lied to by your own government. Ever since 2012, when the Smith-Mundt Act was repealed, our government has been systematically using this, testing us, experimenting on its own people, getting ready for the events and the agenda that is happening right now, not just in America, but worldwide. Please do your due diligence. Go online, research, go to the government websites, go to the websites of FEMA, go to the websites of your individual states. Check and look at the numbers, I should say, of bills, mandates that are being made while all of us have been hiding away in our homes from some mysterious, terrible thing that could hurt us. While what is really hurting us is being done now, not just in America, but worldwide. All right, everyone, this here is the article on the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012, which was repealed by President Obama in that year. Now, I don't know how well any of you can see this, but I'm leaving the link. You'll be able to go to the link and read what is here, which explains to you exactly what our government has been doing to us. Now, let me see, was it right here? I wanted to point out, I think it's this area right here. This certainly explains a lot of news masquerading as legitimate news these days. Revoking the restrictions once enforced under the Smith-Mundt has opened the floodgates on active, former, and retired federal government defense, military, and intelligence agency personnel hiring on as experts by broadcast and cable news networks in an attempt to bring gravitas to what amounts to no more than a continuum of guided speculation. Propaganda. Please go to this article, read it. You can also go online and just research the Smith-Mundt Act of 2012 and its history. So now our government is using propaganda, lies, and deceit on us. So it's all right here in this article. So please do your due diligence, research this, understand that what you're seeing every day on the news is not what you think it is, and is all part of a bigger plan. Please research Agenda 2021, Event 201, Agenda 2030, just to give you a start to make you realize what is happening to us. Right now, what is at stake is the lives of your children. You are responsible now for what is going to happen to them. Everything that is taking place has been planned for a long time, a very long time. Our government does not care about us. We have been sold out, as have all the people of all governments throughout the world. This is a worldwide agenda that's being taken place.
Okay, so she was talking about mandates, obviously, and hey, Lily. So she's talking about, which I will not, well, I don't want to say ever, but rarely will I speak about it on my channel. I just won't go there. There's more than enough people that are covering it, but she's talking about that virus that's been going around. If you were wondering, and she's right. The government doesn't care about us. Our government doesn't care about us. So anybody that thinks that is poorly mistaken. They also have these planned, all these events planned years in advance. That's why I've said multiple times that they're not going to go out of their way to orchestrate these events to potentially gain only one thing. There's going to be multiple agendas involved. What those agendas are, you have to figure out. Whether it be to, induce fear, whether it be money, which it usually always is, follow the money, pass some sort of law underneath our noses, look over here, don't look over here, or look over there, don't look over here. Now, you can't go to, PolitiFact or Fact Checker and say, did the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012 allow for the U.S. government and mainstream media to legally push propaganda and lie to the public, and literally make up news stories to push agendas? You're not going to find your answer there. It's going to say, no, that's not a fact. You're going to have to go to other resources to find this information. You're not going to be able to find a lot of this stuff. Some of it you will, but a lot of it you're not going to be able to find on Google or YouTube. All these videos I got from Odyssey. The first one I played is on YouTube as well, though. So the next video I'm going to play is a channel creator that is actually reading from the actual bill itself. That way you're not just, and you can go and look up the bill and look at, and verify it for yourself. But I'm just showing you multiple videos that might sound repetitive. But again, I like to provide multiple sources instead of just showing one video or source.
And to influence public opinion. propaganda and to influence public opinion. It is this act right here, or under the United States Information Agency, that this is pertaining, because this is exactly where it was prohibited in this 1985 Public Law 99-93, Section 208, ban on domestic activities by the USIA. So, reading this now a little bit more clearly, it amends the Foreign Relations Authorization Act. That was this. It amends this, where this says that it is prohibited from using appropriated funds to influence public opinion and disseminate its propaganda in the United States. This amends that, thus allowing that activity to take place by the United States Information Agency, funded by the State Department, funded by the Broadcasting Board of Governors. And so there you have it. The other part of it that I wanted to focus on as well is this last clause that states such provision shall, 1, not prohibit the department or the board, which is the State Department or the Broadcasting Board of Governors, from providing information about its operations, policies, programs, or program material, or making such information available to members of the media, public, or Congress. So that means that this is open to FOIA requests, which I'm working on, putting together one and seeing if I can get some actual information as to what programs they're referring to here. See, the programs, the policies, and the operations. I'm going to see what I can find out, if anything, I don't know how to fill out exactly the paperwork, but I'll work on it and see what I can figure out. Because I have my suspicions. I mean, it's pretty obvious when you're watching something and it starts working on you as far as trying to get you to think a certain way. At least it is for me. It's not for everyone. I know that people that I work with, my friends, my family, people that I know, all are willingly suspending disbelief when they watch television shows. I know when they go to the movies, they're zoned into it. They're completely immersed in it. They're not looking at it critically and watching for these things to be introduced into the mind. But they are. I mean, it's being done. It's been done for decades and probably forever. This is not saying that it hasn't been done up until now, okay, in 2012, 9 years ago. All it's saying in here is that the State Department can use funds to do it publicly here in America now. That doesn't mean that the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, and all that haven't used media throughout history or throughout their history to influence public opinion. And this act only applies to the State Department and to the Broadcasting Board of Governors and no other federal department or agency. So they may not have ever been prohibited from doing it. I mean, that's another thing that we have to understand. This is big. I mean, this is important. Don't get me wrong. This is important that this took place and that the restriction on the State Department has been lifted from them funding domestic propaganda and domestic meddling in public opinion. But it hasn't. It didn't create it. I mean, this has been going on, like I said, forever. The government has always tried to manipulate public opinion. That's what it is. I mean, government is mind control. If you break down the word, that's what it means. To control the mind, to control the thinking, to control the social behaviors of a society, of a group of people, and to direct them, to direct their energy for their own ends. I mean, that's what a government is. So the point I'm making here is that I will be attempting a FOIA request to get information about their operations, their programs, which is the most interesting to me because I want to confirm my suspicions when I see a television show or a movie that's just riddled with political and ideological suggestion. Let's just put it that way. It just stands out to me like a sore thumb. I have a hard time watching these shows, and I'm sure people that attempt to watch shows with me, which are fewer and fewer anymore, it probably annoys the shit out of them too. So anyway, just a short video this morning. I wanted to point this out, and also to kind of allay some fears probably around this, or some misunderstanding maybe, that this is what allows it. This is just one phase of it. This is one aspect to it. Now, if you consider the escalation of the propaganda being pointed and weaponized and directed at the American people of late, with news stories, movies, events that take place that are contrived and that are done for effect. They're done to change the thinking and the behavior of the population. It has definitely escalated, and it has definitely become more potent and more weaponized, I guess, since 2012. I mean, if you think about what happened in 2012 and what took place in 2012, in December of 2012, to be more specific, and you can use your investigative skills to figure that out, what I'm talking about. But this going up on the YouTube, I will not mention it by name, but it is a school in Connecticut. The idea that something like this could be just produced with State Department funds is very legitimate. I mean, it's saying it right here that the State Department can use funds to produce programs and operations to propagandize and influence public opinion. I mean, it's written right here in the act. So, yes, it's been done in the past. Yes, it's been happening as long as I can think. But it's just another aspect to it, and it's probably just another escalation to it. And it is definitely something to be considering, and definitely something to think about and to keep your eye on, because these people will stop at nothing to influence the way we think, the way we behave, and what we are doing. So keep that in mind every time you're tuning into your favorite show or whatever you're doing, whatever you're consuming media-wise, which is inevitable. You cannot walk down the street without consuming media of some kind. You can't stand at a gas pump without hearing the drone of some looped ad playing in your ear. You can't turn on the radio without hearing paid for by the Ad Council, which is the government at work softening the minds of the people, directing the public opinion, and propagandizing. That's what it is. That's what it does. That's really its main function, is to govern the minds of the people. So, let me know what you think. Give it a thumbs up, give it a thumbs down. But as always, let me know what you think, and thanks for listening.
Okay, so he's obviously, I mentioned in the chat, but he's referring to the Mandy Book hoax event that just so happened to be in 2012 in December in that Connecticut town. That's crazy. Well, I mean, I'm not surprised that they still are asking for, you know what. So, what are the odds that this bill was passed to overturn them, not being allowed to push propaganda, even though they were still doing it years. They've been doing it for years. Oh, it's probably for lawyers to sue certain channel creators, which they have no reason to sue. It's just a front. It's all a front. It's all to scare people so that, if you talk about the case, you might be sued. Watch out now. You can't sue people for talking about a well-publicized case. And you can't sue someone when you decided to leave your daughter's Facebook account open for the entire world to see and expect people not to talk about it. And you can't sue people for contradicting yourselves and saying, we've got death threats and we get harassed. And but we're going to go and insert ourselves into the true crime community of all places, instead of saying as far away as possible from social media. And then they channel hop and show their faces, and you know what happens every time they show their faces on social media? It just wants to, make people talk about the case more. They know what they're doing. The Ruseks are not idiots. They are pushing an agenda, and I don't care what anyone says. It's clear as day to me. But I do have one more video, and then I will get into the Watts case and why it has everything to do with the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012, because it's very important.
What do you think of what happened in Boston?
Oh, and I just want to explain what's going on here a little bit. And I can't remember her name for the life of me. I saw this years ago, but she is a journalist, and maybe someone in chat can help me out here. That's what Swamp Lover was researching for me. I'm like, do you remember this lady's name? Because I can't remember. But she's a journalist, and she's, doing a conference, and people are asking her questions. And so the video starts where someone asks her about the Boston event, that tragic event. That's what he asked her about.
When we were looking for a pressure cooker and two teenagers, and then they took over the whole city and shut it down. And to me, that looked a whole lot like martial law.
Yeah. Oh, God, I can't believe. See, this is why I didn't want to give this talk, because I knew that we'd have this conversation. And now it's on the record. All right. Let me take a step back. We have to deal with it. Let me take a step back and a deep breath, because this is a very painful thing to talk about. So all over the world, we know, it's well established, the State Department and intelligence agencies engage in theater, and it's what they do, it's spycraft, to create spectacles and events that people may not realize are spectacles and events, but that, like the overthrow of Mossadegh in the 50s in Iran. They'll funnel money to protesters, they'll, fly people in to infiltrate protesters, they'll create fake newspapers, and so on. So we know that this happens in countries around the world. I believe that a law has been passed in the United States. I think it's part of the Defense Authorization Act. I need to confirm this. That, now makes it legal to propagandize American citizens. Do we know about that? Yeah, it's true. And is it in the NDAA or is it in something else? Do we know? It's a separate bill. It's a separate bill. And it's been passed. It's now law? Do we know what the 2 years ago? Do we know what the name of it is?
I don't remember, but I reported on it.
Oh, thank you. Will you send me the link?
Yeah.
Thank you. So what this means is, and as a journalist, to say these words, I can't tell you with what a heavy heart I say them, but we've entered an era in which it is not crazy to assess news events to see if they're real or not real. And in the United States as well as overseas. And in fact, it's kind of crazy not to. Now, there's so much hype about what I just said, and so I want to be very clear about it so it can't be taken out of context. There's, pardon me, this kind of reflexive vilification of anyone speculating about that because they become a conspiracy theorist, right? Well, just bear with me. I've often thought about this because our intelligence agencies, I respect spies. I mean, who are doing, like before it got out of control, I believe we need intelligence. I believe we need intelligence agencies. I don't think there's anything dishonorable about being in the intelligence services if you obey the Constitution and the law. But all over the world, our intelligence services are engaged in conspiring to create outcomes. That's their job. That's how they're successful. So now that it's illegal to propagandize in the United States, it doesn't surprise me that there's more and more products coming up in popular culture, more and more events in the news stream that seem to be, to my eye, to be subsidized. Let me give you some examples of that. I'm not talking about Boston right now. I'll get to that. We also talked earlier about infiltrators, right? And how they provoke violence. This is well established. So if we know that infiltrators by the police, NYPD, they've been documented, or other police forces, dress up like people they're not and provoke violence, why is it unthinkable that there might be spectacles that might drive an outcome in the news stream? Let me give you a couple of quick examples. And all I'm saying is we, unfortunately, and I have to say this to my fellow journalists as well, we've entered a time in which we need to be very skeptical about the news stream and look at it critically and ask for more verification and more inquiry. And that's just being good reporters. And it makes it like this. There's spectacle fed into the news media in China. There's spectacle fed into, like Chile. How did Pinochet, engage in his coup? He created photographs of a cache of weapons that the terrorists had, hidden. Was it real? Was it not? Most historians think it wasn't. I mean, this is like not unusual, in the process of creating a closed society. So if laws have made it legal to assassinate American citizens and legal to propagandize them, why should it be crazy or weird to think that that might be for a reason, right? All right. I saw the movie Zero Dark 30. Thank you very much. And I have worked on 2 presidential campaigns, so I recognize political talking points. And I wrote a piece saying, this reads like the Pentagon signed off on the script. Because there were like chunks of political talking points identifiable to anyone who's worked in Washington, right? And you don't come up with those if you're a writer writing a screenplay. And everyone was very upset. It was very controversial and scandalous. But in fact, belatedly, a news story came out saying that in fact the Pentagon had, I think, subsidized some of it, but had certainly consulted directly on the script. And I see more and more TV shows about the CIA and more TV shows about spies and gigantic blockbusters in which surveillance is normalized and gigantic blockbusters in which people are tortured to get them to talk in a way that might exonerate people who actually tortured people to get them to talk in Guantanamo. And there's all this money being pumped into these unaccountable, terrorism fighting things. And now there's no law preventing that money from going through front organizations right into popular culture. So that's of interest to me. And so another thing I want to say, and there's so many people waiting to ask a question, but I just need to say this, is I'm skeptical of certain news events that seem more theatrical than the norm, or I want to ask questions about them. Because I was in CNN once recently, and they were reporting a story about a water skier who had been decapitated on a lake between Mexico and the United States, and it had something to do with a terrorism threat, right? And I was like, decapitated water skier. Sometimes you hear these things and it's like so novelistic. You're like, real life doesn't work that way. Like, these are so novelistic. Someone's coming up with it to make it stick in the popular imagination. Or it just makes you think, well, I'd like to document that. I'm a reporter. What's the source? And it kept being just this one guy, Judge Arpajo in Texas. I may be mispronouncing his name. He's a very, yes. Yeah, he was the source, he was the source, he was the source. And I have this wonderful Facebook community all over the world. And I went on Facebook and I'm like, Mexican Facebook community, is there any reporting about a beheaded water skier in this lake, in this place in Mexico? And they're like, no, what are you talking about? There's nothing like that. Doesn't exist. So I turned to the CNN producer and said, do you have a second source for this story? And it was all over the news, all over the news, all over the news. And they're like, and they checked and it's like, nope, just this guy, Judge, whatever. And I'm like, well, can you find a second source? And they were blushing and embarrassed, and they looked and they confessed that they didn't have a second source, which if you know what journalism is, you're supposed to confirm it with two sources. So ever since that experience, CNN is running with this. No one's verifying it. Journalists aren't in a position to follow up on anything anymore because budgets are slashed and there's no investigative reporting. All this nonsense can enter the media stream for purposes that have to do with advancing agendas because no one's checking. That's all I want to say about that. Can I take more questions? So Boston, I guess my feeling about any of these things is let's investigate. We need to investigate. We need to ask better questions. We need to interview the doctors at the hospital. We need to interview the victims. We need to, get all the footage ourselves. We need to train citizens to be journalists and to have websites. And I'm busy building one as a startup where citizen journalists can document events so that we're not leaving it to the gatekeepers.
Okay, so I think there's quite a bit of a delay, unfortunately, but we'll deal with it. We're not playing trivia or anything. So like she said in the video, I mean, they can literally even make up a story about this skier being decapitated, and the majority of these journalists and these news outlets are not even vetting the information themselves. They're just going by what they're told due to lack of funds, she says, or whatever reason, laziness, I don't know, but they can literally make up any story they want to. So whether that be a story about some skier being decapitated, or whether it be, orchestrate an entire 9/11, whether it be a quadruple homicide case in a small town in Frederick, Colorado, they can legally do it. And so I'm going to get into that right now. What you guys, I'm sure, are all waiting for is, what it has to do with the Chris Watts case. And I just want to address something that Mark said. Saying that he's a teacher's pet. So let's test your knowledge here and see if you've been paying attention. Sub of the month, the past 6 months, however many months. Name, this is for Mark only. Name one of the red flags and characteristics that I've been telling you guys over and over and over again to look out for, that you need to look out for in these orchestrated events. Name one, Mark. I'll wait before I get into the rest of the stream. Judge Cop Out. Yeah, that's funny. I don't have any Jeopardy music or anything, so Still waiting. Teacher's pet Mark. Half the time I don't even think Mark pays attention. I think he's just here to be funny and keep the chat light. Mark made it a thing, Swamp Lover. One characteristic, Mark. Go ahead. Anytime. And I know there's a delay, so. Okay, well, while I wait for Mark's answer, I'm going to go ahead and get into why the Smith-Mundt Act is so important with the Chris Watts case. So, I've heard so many times people say in chat or other channel creators, why does nothing in this case add up? Why was nothing done by the books? Why didn't Chris have to give a factual basis for the crimes or crime or crimes for which he committed? Why was it so, why was this case open and closed so quickly within a matter of months? Why did they not secure the crime scene? Why did they mishandle evidence? Why did they release the crime scene in just over, 48 hours? Nothing was done I don't want to say nothing, but a lot of things were not done by the books and by law. And the way the law works with this case. So many times I have heard people ask that. Why wasn't Nicole Kessinger investigated properly? Why? I'm sure you guys can name many more. The reason for that, and I've been saying this for months, is because of that Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012. They can legally make up an entire homicide case to push multiple agendas, to push propaganda, and lie to the public for selfish gain. That's why nothing with this Watts case adds up, you guys. They don't have to show all the evidence. They cherry pick their evidence. They don't have to show all of it to convince the majority of people that this case actually happened. So, when it first came out and you have all the media news outlets talking about it, pushing the narrative into our brains, right? You're going to have that group of people or those individuals who are not into the true crime community, who are not only on social media, who will hear it from the mainstream media or from a article, news article, or online or whatever, and they'll probably never mention it again. But subconsciously, they're still gonna know in their head that this guy, Chris Watts, murdered his entire family at pretty much the drop of a hat. They're gonna know the narrative, pretty much, the mainstream media official narrative. So subconsciously, it's still going to affect those people that don't even talk about it ever again. It's going to still be implanted in their brains. Then you have all the documentaries, all the Netflix, the reels, you name it. So you have all those people who are being subjected to this narrative, and subconsciously are saying, "Oh my God, this guy, who seemed to be the perfect loving father, literally annihilated his entire family for what we've been told is because to start a new life with his mistress." So again, they're still being affected, regardless if they're on social media or in the true crime community. Now, when it gets into the real psychological part of it is people on social media who are delving into that discovery, watching Shannon's videos over and over again, finding out all these inconsistencies. That's where the psychological operation really takes place. But what they're doing is they're trying to induce fear onto people. Hey, Michelle. One of the agendas is to induce fear. Again, because they want you to think that if someone like Chris Watts can do it, then your significant other, your husband, anybody close to you can literally, at the drop of a hat, murder you and your entire family. Someone who you trusted with your life, who never showed any signs of violent tendencies, and he was a great husband and a great father or a great brother or a great nephew. It doesn't matter. They want people to constantly be in fear. So what they do, and I saw this with the Las Vegas shooting, they literally release all this information, like the body cam footage, the FIT report, which was with the Las Vegas shooting. In the Watts case, it was the discovery, and they leave that available to the public for a reason. It's all a part of the PSYOP. And how many people have you heard in the true crime community especially say, I don't know what it is with this case. I don't know why it draws me in so much. Well, you can thank the Ruseks for leaving Shannon's Facebook account open. You can thank law enforcement for releasing all this information, which really isn't a lot of information. But considering that we didn't have to file FOIA requests for it and CORA requests and jump through hoops to get this information because they just willingly released it, weird. When the majority of people can't even hardly get their own case files for a simple charge, right? So why this case? Why is it that some people or a lot of people can't seem to get away from it? Because it pulls people in. That's what PSYOPs do. If everybody knew that this was a PSYOP or it was orchestrated, it wouldn't be a very good PSYOP. But these people that orchestrate these events, they're good at what they do because they've been doing it for years. And they're also using, not only the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act in their favor, but they're also using that Hegelian dialectic that I talk about all the time, that problem, reaction, solution. And when I see the Ruseks clearly pushing an agenda by pointing their fingers at these big social media platforms and saying, that they're not doing anything about this harassment, which there's no evidence of. Simply talking about a highly publicized case is not harassment, but that's what they want you to believe. They want people to be scared to talk about these documented cases and ask questions about these documented cases that don't add up. And not to jump around, but that's the reason why they're hitting these channel creators, as well as myself. They're hitting these channel creators with these copyright claims, these privacy claims, even though this is information that has been available to the public since day one, for years now. What they're doing is they're pulling almost like a Mandela effect. I like to call it a Wattdella effect. They're slowly going in and deleting information, not evidence, but information out of the discovery, like personal information that they didn't bother to redact in the beginning, Nicole Kessinger's cell phone bill. Slowly but surely, they are erasing their PSYOP. You know what I mean? And they're hoping when hitting these people, because they know that they can't give them strikes. This is, again, information that's been available and it's public information. But they're hoping that the channel creator is not going to bother even trying to fight it or appeal it. Right? And just let it go. I don't remember what my B was, but they can't hit us with these. And again, it doesn't bother me if it's just a copyright claim or a privacy claim. My channel's not monetized. A lot of these other channel creators that have been covering the Chris Watts case, whose channels are monetized, they're making a big deal about it. And if they want to make a big deal about it, then they should. Making videos takes a lot of time. That's why I don't upload videos anymore, because especially when my videos are sitting on like 2,000 views and over 2 years now, I don't have the time to do that. It takes so much time and effort, and that's why I do these live streams. And I would prefer to do, the upload videos, because I know that they're straight to the point, and I know that a lot of you guys like them. But again, they just take so much time, and me being a perfectionist most of the time, it's it's time consuming. So I saw the same thing with the Las Vegas shooting. They slowly went in and started redacting information from the FIT report and deleting information from the FIT report. They also went, and I'm sure that the Honor Network has a lot to do with it, they scrubbed any information or any channels or videos and channel creators who are going against the mainstream media official narrative. The only thing that you're going to find on YouTube, and I would be highly surprised if you do find anything else, but all that's left mainly is mainstream media reports of the Las Vegas shooting, or any videos that go with the official narrative. You have to go onto other search engines and other websites to find information about it that's not mainstream media. And give it time. It might not be tomorrow, but give it time. That's why I said they're slowly going in and hitting these channel creators with these copyright claims and these privacy claims, and they're slowly scrubbing any information that goes against the Watts mainstream media official narrative. Watch. Give it time. And if you heard it here first. I'm telling you, there's going to be none of this conspiracy stuff or whatever and this and that, unless they're controlled opposition, like some of these other major, or not major, but bigger channel creators who are controlled opposition and who are purposely putting out a whole bunch of disinformation with some factual information to steer people in the opposite direction of the truth. Just like that video said, even the YouTube sources are also in on it, or these alternative YouTube channels. They're there to purposely sway people's opinions and point them in the opposite direction of the truth. Yeah, they are, Stephanie, Michelle, 100%. They're both a part of it. And I understand. I understand that people say, well, Cindy Watts seems realistic. She seems really heartbroken. She seems, but that's it's not proof to me, and it's not going to change my theory on this case. I have never changed my theory on this case. I'm always willing to, look at all possibilities. But I've looked at all possibilities for almost 3 years now, and so that being said, I'm not going to change my opinion on this case. I've done just as much research on this case as anyone else, and even dove into that discovery, way more than I want to admit to. But there's so many people out there that are just, they're not willing to go against what they believe, or they want their own ending to this tragedy. They want Nicole Kessinger to be brought to justice. It's not, they have this tunnel vision, and whatever they want to happen, that's what they want to happen. They don't want to come to my channel and listen to me say that they've been duped, that they've been fooled. No one wants to know that they've been fooled, let alone admit that they've been duped. And they will make up every excuse in the book as to why my theory is wrong. And the numbers show that. The numbers on my stream show that. People want to go to these channel creators that tell them what they want to hear. They want to tell them that the case is still open. It's still going to be investigated. That justice will be served. That Nicole Kessinger is going to spend the rest of her life behind bars after she fails her polygraph test. Because law enforcement didn't bother to do it in the first place or investigate her properly. So why would they do it now? Why would they reopen the case? The reason why so many things don't make sense in this case is there's actually a really simple, the simplest answer is usually the correct one. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. My theory might sound complicated to a lot of people, but it's really not. This Christopher Watts case was orchestrated by our government. I don't know specific names, but it's the same people who are orchestrating these other tragic events to push agendas. They release all this information for a reason, because it pulls people in. It pulls at heartstrings. It distracts people. Again, look into the discovery. Look over here, not what's going on over here or over there, where we're probably passing some sort of law right underneath your noses, because you guys are too busy with your heads buried in the case. They know that people are going to start finding these inconsistencies in the case. Same thing with the Las Vegas shooting. So many people think that the Las Vegas shooting is a cover-up. It's not. It was a false flag, or completely 100% a psyop. I don't know. I don't know if anyone actually died. I don't believe they did, but I can't say I can't say for certain. Yeah, and they do want drama. And that's the thing too. It's very frustrating because I feel like the majority of people in the true crime community, they don't want the truth. They want what they want in the end. You know, they want to hear the juiciest gossip about what Chris's alleged inmate told him or whatever, even though it's all hearsay. But I'm not going to sit here and tell people what they want to hear just so I can get views. I'm here and I'm doing this and I'm taking time out of my life because this case is going to affect myself as well as you guys. So I'm not going to just sit back, especially when, as far as I know, to the extent that I've gone, I'm the only one that's gone that far doing it. I don't even know if that made sense. But, you know, I've exposed so much about this case. And I don't know how much more I can expose or how much more information I can give or what else I can say. And again, I can't make people do the research. Like, again, I can only give you the information that I've learned over the years and why I was able to spot this case for what it really is. Because I don't have emotions involved. I don't have any biased opinion towards this case. And when you have emotions, which are the majority, it seems, of true crime, of people in the true crime community, I don't understand how they would be able to look at facts and evidence that they call when their emotions cloud their judgment. There's just no way. That would be like a detective being emotionally involved in a case in a child homicide case. If they let their emotions get in the way, they're going to miss a lot of evidence. So that's when they, should step down and not take that case, right? So how can anybody in the true crime community, when they're so clouded by their emotions, or they just want to hear what they want to hear, or they believe everything that they're told, it boggles my mind how many people in the true crime community, and not just the true crime community, but all over social media, just in general, how many people literally believe everything they're told. Even the journalist, Naomi, in that video that I played, she's even saying, verify the information if you can. It's going to be difficult to vet a lot of this mainstream media, information that we're being fed, but ask questions. Say, Hey, how do we know if David was really Chris Watts' inmate? Hell, how do we even know if Chris Watts is really in prison? Were you there? Are you an inmate with Christopher Watts? No. Until then, everything that you're being told is hearsay and should be taken with a grain of salt until proven otherwise. Let the mainstream media prove these stories to you. Don't just believe everything that you're told. As cheesy as it sounds, it's so important. But people need to wake up with this case, and it's going to be very difficult considering that I'm by myself pretty much. I'm overwhelmed with the amount of disinformation that these other channel creators are putting out. How much misinformation, disinformation, like it's, and again, people don't want to hear my theory, clearly. I don't know how many times I've put, when someone says, why doesn't this case add up? Why is law enforcement able to do all this? Why don't they have to answer any of our questions? I don't know how many times I put in the chat, look up the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012, and I bet you nobody did. Nobody even acknowledges when I put that in the chat. They don't want to do their own research. They want to just go and listen to their favorite, channel creators and listen to what they have to say and listen to the bullshit that's being fed to them about this case. Again, I'm not here to lie to you guys. I don't have any motives behind. What would my possible motive be? It's clearly not money. My channel's not monetized. Well, I guess I'm just some crazy conspiracy theorist who just likes to spend hours and hours and hours trying to convince people and do the right thing about the truth of this case. Does anybody have any questions? Because I don't want to sound repetitive, but let me grab my notes here that I have, because I do lurk and I do watch streams, and when someone says a question or asks a question that pretty much supports my theory, I write it down. So if there's any questions, go ahead and ask, and I will do my best to answer them. I know that the majority of people in here, or the majority of you guys in here, are pretty much aware of what's going on with this case, and I'm sure it is, like Anthony said in a couple of my streams ago, it unfortunately is like an echo chamber. The only thing I can do is just keep doing these streams, and hopefully more and more people will find my channel, or that are start to see more and more inconsistencies and how nothing adds up with this case. That's all I can do. Okay, so I've heard so much, especially recently, people say, I don't believe that Chris killed anyone. I've been saying that for a very long time now. Whether I was transparent about it or not, I said it in one way or another. But more recently, I've said that Chris did not kill anyone. Now, I don't think that he killed anyone because there's other accomplices, or because Shanann did it. I mean, she didn't kill herself, right? So, hey, Sour. But, these other channel creators and others in the true crime community can say that Chris didn't kill anyone because there's other accomplices. But when I say it, I'm disrespectful and I'm the bad person and I'm a crazy conspiracy theorist. I'm saying Chris didn't kill anyone because this was made up. This is all a figment of our imagination. The world's a stage, you guys, okay? I mean, And like Sinead said in that podcast that I played a couple streams ago, even she was duped. Even I was duped at the beginning. Suck it up, learn from it, and say, fool me once. But if you don't want to be succumbed to these lies and the deception anymore, then you're gonna have to admit that you've been duped on a very massive scale, unfortunately. And there's gonna be more and more and more. And there's one happening right now. And that's the Summer Wells case. I mean, that case, I'm sorry, is a circus. It's a shit show. But people are falling for it. They're falling for it. Hook, line, and sinker. And I'm not even going to get into that case. But I'm just saying, they're going to happen. They're going to keep happening. There's nothing we can do about it because they can legally do it. However, my goal is to wake people up, whether it be one person or 1,000 people, whatever. I'm not going to say 100,000. That would never happen. But the more people that are awake, at least hopefully they won't be able to get away with these events as easily, or they won't be able to manipulate people as easily or sway opinions as easily. But did anybody ever think that Chris possibly, the reason why they've come to this conclusion that Chris didn't kill anyone is because he probably didn't? Did anybody come to the conclusion that nobody died in the house because nobody died in the house or out of the house? There's no evidence that anybody was even in that house, nor is there any evidence that anyone came out of that house, whether it be in the back or the front. Then, when people start noticing all these inconsistencies in the case and the discovery, now they're saying, I don't believe anything law enforcement says. It's a cover-up. Law enforcement has lied to us. But then they're going to turn around and say, hey, I'm getting all my facts from that discovery. I'm getting all my evidence from the discovery. The discovery doesn't lie. Data doesn't lie. But if law enforcement if they can clearly admit and have come to the conclusion that law enforcement has indeed lied about many things, what else are they possibly capable of lying about? And could they possibly be capable of lying about the entire thing? No matter as ridiculous or crazy or impossible as it seems, it's really not. Hey, Linda. I do believe they are, and I do believe he is not. Then, and I'm just going with my notes here. Hey, Nuckin, and I agree. It is. It's a poorly written Lifetime movie. The next thing I want to address is the cover-up by Rourke and law enforcement. A lot of people think that this entire case is some sort of cover-up. Like Anna Darko wanted everything swept under the rug because it was giving them bad publicity. Or that Rourke and law enforcement are covering for Nicole Kessinger because she's some sort of something special, right? No, I mean, think about it, you guys. You're literally, the majority of people are accusing Nicole Kessinger of murder, of literally having some sort of way to mind warp Chris Watts in a period of less than 2 months. And I don't care if anybody says, oh, they knew each other longer than that and law enforcement is just lying. Look how they cherry pick everything in this case. Look how much is missing in between with text messages, phone calls. Data can be manipulated. The discovery can be manipulated. And data can lie. Especially when it's not coming from an actual printout from a mobile forensic software. Those numbers in the discovery where it says, oh, Chris called Shanann and left a 30-minute voicemail. Or not a 30-minute voicemail, a 30-second voicemail. That'd be a long voicemail. Or whatever. Or Nicole Kessinger called Chris and it was unanswered. All that is manually put in by law enforcement or by somebody. So mistakes can happen if if an actual person is manually putting that information in, or the data or the information is not correct. It's not, what am I trying to say? It's incorrect. Okay? It's manipulated. So, back to what I was saying, when the majority of people are saying that this is a cover-up and law enforcement wanted it to go away quickly, and yeah, I'm trying. I know, Sour. I try not to get fired up, but I just want to be clear, and I don't want to sound like not confident in what I'm saying, but I also don't want to sway opinions. Hey, Spacebound. But I know sometimes, with the way I speak, sometimes I don't come off as confident in my theory, and I don't not want to sound confident, because I am. I'm very confident in what I'm saying and my feelings about this case. But, so if so many people think that law enforcement wanted this covered up, or Anadarko wanted it swept under the rug because of the bad publicity, do you really think that this high, powerful oil company would allow any of the discovery to be released? Any of the body cam footage? I mean, anything in this case. All of this information was released for a reason. And I don't know how many times I've heard people say, why was so much information released? We've never had this much information in a case. It's a part of the psychological operation. It's done that way on purpose. There are inconsistencies in the case because no operation is perfect. There's also inconsistencies and things left out in the discovery on purpose because they want people to find the inconsistencies. They want people to bury their heads in the discovery. They want people to think that Nicole Kessinger was involved. They want people to think that Jimbo was involved. They want people to go and look up Jimbo's past life, Nicole Kessinger's, Troy McCoy, you name it. That's why nobody's personal information was redacted. If it was, what would the true crime community have to research? All you would see is black, 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 black for everybody's names. And even sweet Nicole Atkinson is even still pushing an agenda with her channel right now. With the crying over and over and over and over again. The anniversary coming out, she makes a video and cries and cries. It pulls at heartstrings. And it's also, so if I call her out, I'm the bad person because she was sick or is sick still. And she's a hero and she has nothing to do with it. I'm the bad person. They know that. And she's also making a ton of money selling Thrive now. Go figure. She's got a lot more viewers than she did before. Talk about making money off the deaths, right? Pretty hypocritical. Anyways. And law enforcement's not going to release all this in Hey High Hopes. They're not going to release this amount of information just to make themselves look incompetent. Or to possibly have people notice that it's a cover-up. They don't care. They don't care. Again, they can do it legally. And if you think that Judge Kopkow, if you think that Rourke, if you think that the coroner, if you think that these police officers, your main police officers, not everybody has to be in on it, but if you think for a second that all these people are not involved in the scheme, you're poorly mistaken again. Now, why people agree to do these things and agree to fool millions of people, I don't know. I don't have the answers to those, the answer to that question. And to me, they're not relevant. The why would they do this? Why would they do, or why would the certain individuals do it, right? Whether it be money, whether they were forced to do it because they would lose their job, whether they thought they were doing something beneficial to society, we don't know until we're in their shoes. We don't know why people do certain things that they do. And yeah, I said shoes. Don't start. And even Sweet Shanann, nobody's going to want to hear this. That's why I don't get the views on my channel, I'm sure. Even Sweet Shanann's in on it, you guys. Hate to say it, but I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. And if people can't handle that, then they know where the door is. Or they know where the dislike button is. I really don't care. Whatever they want to do. Again, I'm not here to tell people what they want to hear. And I mentioned this a little bit but here's in my notes. Why were people allowed to walk in and out of the house? Why wasn't the crime scene contained? Why did they handle evidence so poorly? Why is there evidence missing? Why is there so much lack of evidence? Nothing done by the books. Crime scene closed within days. All evidence leads back to Chris. Go figure. Leaves a rake and all this other evidence at the crime scene. Like, hey, look, nobody else could have done it but Chris. How easy is that to push a narrative onto millions of people that Chris killed his entire family? I mean, the GPS on his truck proves it. The guy admitted to it. Since when do you stop an investigation when someone just pleads guilty? You don't. Unless it's orchestrated. And they don't have to go through the process of an actual homicide case to convince the majority of people that this happened, or convince people that are, how that he was able to fit the girls in 8-inch holes. There's so many that I could name off right now, which I'm not going to. I mean, people are literally, every time they ask questions like that, they're only supporting my theory even more when they say stuff like that. And have any of these other channel creators given any of you guys some sort of explanation, some sort of reason as to why this case does not add up? Have they given you any reason as to why there's so many holes and so many inconsistencies besides, oh, it's a cover-up from law enforcement? They'll say it's a cover-up, but they don't have any evidence to back that up. My evidence is in the patterns, in the consistency through each of these tragic events that keep happening over and over and over again. And like I said earlier, they're gonna keep happening. And if we keep believing it, or if people keep believing it, they're going to keep being duped. They're going to keep losing their rights because they don't want to look at it from a different perspective and open their eyes as to what's going on in this world. They don't want to wake up, and that's unfortunate. And clearly, they're not here for the truth. They're here for drama. They're here for their own conclusion on what they want with the case. They want Nicole Kessinger to be guilty, then so be it. But she will never be investigated. She will, sorry to tell you guys, if you're listening, if there's any lurkers, she's never going to be investigated. This case will never be opened again. And as long as people keep continuing to talk about it and keep giving views to these other channel creators who are just milking the case for everything, not all of them, I want to make that clear, but there's a lot of them who are milking this case for everything it has. As long as they want to keep believing everything that they're told, and they don't want to actually look at evidence, or they don't actually want to hear all possibilities, or they don't want to hear what I have to say, then they're going to keep being fooled. They're going to keep crying their eyes out every single time one of these tragic cases happen. I mean, literally letting these cases affect their lives so much that they're crying at night, or now they don't trust their significant other because of this. That was the goal. That was the goal. One of the goals of this PSYOP was to induce fear, especially on women. Now I'm done with my rant. I wish I was on the beach too. So let me scroll up and see if there was any questions besides. I'm losing my voice already. Oh yeah, see, in Shadow Dancer, I mean, if you want to read the discovery again, that's definitely on you. But all these other channel creators and everybody that's going through that discovery, you're gonna find stuff that you probably missed. But this case was not meant to be solved, and even if it was real, how can you solve a case with only half of the information, and information that's cherry picked? And not only that, but information that clearly has many holes and inconsistencies in it. That's what I mean is, a lot of these channel creators, I base all my evidence off the discovery, but you just said, a few minutes before that they don't believe anything that law enforcement says because law enforcement are corrupt and they're liars and it's a cover-up. So why would you base any of your information or base the discovery off of facts? That makes no sense. And they have scrubbed a lot, Shadow Dancer? Yeah, I believe it. What they're going to do with the Watts case, as I mentioned earlier, is they're going to go back and they're going to delete information from the discovery that was not there, that was there before, right? Originally. And many of these videos that channel creators have put out that go against the official narrative, even the ones where they're just simply going over the discovery or reading the discovery, they're going to go back and they're going to cover their tracks pretty much, because now it's 3 years now, right? Their agenda is done being pushed. It's solely on social media, because again, you have all these channel creators who are David Carter, breaking news, Christopher Watts told him that NK is guilty. We were talking about some dude that we don't even know if he was actually an inmate with Chris. We don't even know if Chris is in prison. It's all hearsay, but people, that's all they want to hear. Oh, Chris told his inmate that, again, we don't even know if really it was, or his fellow inmate, that NK's guilty and that she killed everyone, and everybody runs to these channels and goes, oh my God, that's so, see, we knew it, NK killed everybody. No, that's not evidence. And it drives me crazy. It drives me insane how many people just believe it. It's all hearsay. Everything should be taken with a grain of salt until proven otherwise. If you're getting blocked on channels or timed out for asking relevant questions, there's your answer. Don't listen to those channel creators. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Think for yourself. But in my opinion, if it were me, that tells me that that's a huge red flag to me. Or if you go against this other channel creator's opinions and you get blocked for it, for simply having a difference of opinion, there's your answer. Hey, Christy. Like, I really could probably just ramble and ramble and ramble, but I don't. I'm gonna try not to do that with my live streams. So, how long have I been live here? Almost 2 hours. Okay, so I probably will end it there unless anybody has any questions. I will give a couple minutes. If you guys have any questions, I did try to scroll up, but again, I know that it probably is an echo chamber for the most part. And I do sound repetitive to you guys, and I apologize for that. But I really wanted to talk about, and because I always mention that Smith-Mundt Modernization Act, so I wanted to show some evidence to back up me saying that all the time, instead of just saying, well, the Smith-Mundt Act of 2012 makes it legal for the U.S. government, blah 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 blah. So instead of just saying it, I wanted to provide some evidence, like I was just talking about, instead of just hearsay. And I showed a couple of videos of people talking about it. I showed a journalist even saying to, vet this information that the mainstream media puts out. Don't believe everything you're told. I showed a video in a nutshell what the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act is about. I showed a couple of videos where they actually point in that document where it says they can legally do it and they have no liability. So anybody that says, oh, let's complain about Rourke, let's get a billboard going, what can we do about this case, how can we get it reopened, or how can we stop them from lying to us, stop believing it. That's what you do. Stop believing everything that you're told. And think that just because it's in a discovery that it's evidence. It's not. It's simply coming from the government or law enforcement, and you shouldn't believe that anyways. You shouldn't believe anything, no matter who it is, no matter how much of higher authority they are. And you can complain to the head of the FBI. You can complain to the head of CBI. You can send as many emails to Rourke and complain about Rourke as your little heart desires. Nothing will come from that. And I know that's very negative, saying there's nothing you can do about it, but there's really not. Because that Smith-Mundt Modernization Act makes it legal for them to lie to us, you guys. And fabricate an entire homicide case. No matter how impossible that seems, it's really not that. It's really not. You can have 1 million people complain to Biden, Sleepy Joe Biden, puppet Biden, whoever you want to complain to, who you think that someone would listen. It doesn't matter. They don't care about us. We're just a game to them, and they're using these events to sway our opinions, to trick us into giving up our own rights. So if you really want justice, then get justice for yourselves, because we are the victims. And it sounds so weird when I get dramatic, but I mean, we truly are. We are truly the victims here. So if you want justice, then I know it's difficult to speak up sometimes. Even I am afraid to speak up in chats, in fear of being called crazy and being timed out or being censored. But again, I'm only one person, so obviously I need as much help as I can get. Spread this information or or look up the information. I don't care, but I just need help. I really do. I can't. I'm overwhelmed. But back to what I was saying, you can complain to as many people as you want, but nothing's gonna come from it. That's why I'm trying to wake people up so they can't trick as many people as easily. That's my hope. And if not that, then hopefully just get people to start asking questions and not believe everything that they're told. It's so important, especially these days, and especially with so much fake news and disinformation that's going out there. With just a little bit of research, people will know that they don't have so much to be afraid of. That's why they use fear in a lot of these tragic events, because the best way to control people is with fear, and it works. Hey, Marigold. Hey, Nellie. But yeah, and Michelle's right. We cannot stop them. They're going to keep doing this. That's why there's other channel creators, not in the true crime community, but in, that cover these other orchestrated events. They're trying to wake more and more people up. So again, so that they can't fool us as easily with these events. Because we outnumber them. We do. By a lot. And they know that. That's why they use media manipulation and propaganda to control us. So the more people that are awake and stop believing everything they're told, it's going to be more difficult, hopefully, for them to succeed with these events. And again, if people don't wake up about this Watts case and about these other true crime cases, you're not going to have any free speech left. You're not going to be able to talk about your favorite true crime case. I've seen it happening still with the Watts case. I'm seeing it happen with the Wells case. Even in mainstream media, they're saying, oh, all these people in the true crime community and on social media are pushing out disinformation and all this false information about the case, which is making it difficult for the family members and the victims and for law enforcement. They're coming after your free speech, you guys. So if you want to still be able to talk about your favorite true crime cases, if there's even any real true crime, I'm beginning to think there's not. To be honest with you, I'm beginning to think that the entire true crime community is based off of a lie. Is murder real? Of course. But they don't talk about the real ones. The only ones that are being talked about all the time are the ones that are orchestrated and that are pushing agendas. So if you don't want to be duped anymore, I'm going to end this now, but I just want to say one more thing. Again, keep in mind those characteristics that I have been showing you guys in all my videos and I talk about all the time that they use over and over and over again. Look out for those. Look out for the continuous use of certain numbers. And I'm hoping that symbolism will be their downfall. Because again, like RV True says, they put it in plain sight. And once you know about it, it's so ridiculously easy to spot. It's laughable at times. And they put it in plain sight, and the majority of people have no idea they're being manipulated. So unless you want to continue to keep being manipulated all the time, and have your opinion swayed because you can't think for yourself, then so be it. But I'm doing this for the ones who don't want to be duped and don't want to be manipulated anymore, and I'm also doing it for myself and for my family. Hey, Christine. So that being said, if there's no questions, let me just check really quick. Oh, yes, please, Michelle. You don't have to ask me anymore. You can drop it whenever you like, your link. Yeah, please check out Michelle's channel. She'll drop her link. She does live streams about a lot of this government corruption that's going on, and pretty much the same thing that I talk about, just not in true crime. So if you do get a chance, please check out one of her live streams, and if you like the content, then subscribe and hit that bell notification. Okay, that was really cheesy. So that being said, I'm going to end this stream. Thank you everyone for being here, and again, just I don't know how many times I can say it, but I'll say it again. Please think for hey Cecile, please think for yourselves and stop believing everything you're told. It's so important. So that being said, yeah, thanks everyone for being here, and please check out my thank you Swamp Lover. He just posted my D-Live link. I know when I'm on here way too long, when my voice starts to get all raspy. So yeah, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you to my moderators, and I'll see you guys next time.